go.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Can We Talk, our 2021-2022 series. This is a service offered by the Suffolk Education Foundation for the families and students, parents, faculty, and staff of Suffolk Public Schools. I am Patrick Belcher, and I have the privilege of serving as the president of the Suffolk Education Foundation. I welcome everybody to be a part of this evening. And I wanted to share that this evening is sponsored by our community. It is thanks to the generous support of our community that we're able to offer this series, at least until the end of this year, because of how generous you guys have been in the past. Thanks to the generosity of this community, we've been able to do a lot of things that included giving over $11,000 to the arts. Last May, even though we didn't have our annual gala for the arts, we were still able to go ahead and support the arts because of the generosity of this community. So as we get into the holiday season and everybody thinks about trying to get in one more donation, I hope everybody will consider giving to the Suffolk Education Foundation. You can go to suffolkeducationfoundation.org and click on the donate button to give. As well, we also have our next gala for the arts already scheduled for Wednesday, March 16th. That is a great event, and we hope you will enjoy us, but join us for that evening. We really have some very talented students that I think could be on The Voice or America's Got Talent or any of those that really impress. And it's completely a feature of the students and their abilities from the music they perform, whether it's through their instruments, through their voice. Even the MCs that evening are students from our schools. So we're very, very, very excited to put on that event each year, and they are extremely talented. So we hope you will join us for that evening. And I believe we've already got the menu set, and it's an outstanding menu. One of the best movies. It's not Banquet Chicken. I promise you that. It is much more exciting than that. So we hope you will join us for that on March 16th. I also wanted to share that in your control panel, if you didn't get the email this evening, about an hour ago, for this evening's webinar, you can find that handout in the control panel under handouts. It's the Finding Money for College handout, and hopefully you'll probably see that in your counselor's offices as we're going to ship it out to them. So again, thank you again for being a part of this evening. I am really excited to welcome our panelists this evening. They are some amazing members of our faculty and staff, and I am so honored to introduce to you Ms. ML Cruey, who has been in the school system for 28 years at all levels, from kindergarten through 12th grade, and in multiple districts across the state. She's currently director of counseling at Nansemond River High School, and she will tell you more about everything that she's doing, including working with Project Lead the Way Engineering's program. And Adrienne Miller is from the Access College Foundation. She's been in education for over 20 years at both college and high school levels. She is the Access College Foundation counselor at Kings Fork High School. She provides college preparation for grades 9 through 12. This includes SAT, ACT, scholarships, college tours, college fairs, and FAFSA. That's a mouthful in itself. So, Adrienne, thank you again for being with us tonight. ML, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you start with your presentation. And then this evening, this is really meant to be a discussion where we are going to give you some presentations, and we've prepared that handout for you. We want you to ask questions. We want you, and there is no dumb question. I know your teachers have said that, and sometimes it's not always true, but there really are no dumb questions when it talks about preparing for your future. So please put your questions in the questions box on the control panel, and we will do everything we can to respond to those questions and make sure that we've responded to those questions throughout the evening. So ML, it's all yours.
Thank you, Patrick. I'm gonna wait for my PowerPoint to pop up here. And
Is it up yet?
it's coming. Yep, I've got the first slide up. Okay. So college can be really expensive depending on where you go. Private school, of course, is much more expensive, can be double sometimes or more than, you know, public. Out of state is you're going to end up paying your private school fees because you're paying out of state tuition. And that's just tuition. You know, you tack on room and board and books and incidentals, and you know, your costs can skyrocket. So this is just a little illustration from the U.S. News and World Report of what, you know, an average college tuition is for different levels. So your first thought is, well, maybe I'll get loans. But then you get out of college and you got those thousands and thousands of dollars of loans to pay. There are lots of people out there wanting to get all the money they can out of you. So please be aware of the scams. Any scholarship search that costs money is not worth your time, because there are tons of free scholarship sites out there. There are a few recognitions out there that will say join, be recognized for your GPA, pay this fee, and buy a book. And that's basically the same thing as paying for a scholarship. They tell you that you're going to be on this national list and all this great, wonderful things will happen. And it's not worth the money that you pay for it. Also, if you run across scholarships where there's a processing fee, that's also not worth. You should not pay to receive free money. So please be aware of those scams. Okay. We've got several national scholarship websites on our list. There's some college-based scholarships that you should look at wherever you're going to apply. And then there are a ton of local scholarships. So some of the national scholarship websites are websites like FastWeb. You've got, let me get my little, sorry. You've got FastWeb, you've got scholarships.com, you've got goingmerry.com. There are a lot of scholarship sites out there. We've got they are in your handout. And they are free websites. They've been vetted. We add new sites every year when they pop up. And you know, they're really good websites. They are not going to do all the searching for you. They will ask you questions and you fill out a questionnaire, and they will send you information about scholarships that might fit you. So be aware that you're going to answer a questionnaire, pretty lengthy one sometimes. College-based scholarships, you want to check the websites for scholarships. You want to see if they have honors colleges or special scholarships just for different departments. You know, like Norfolk State has the Didymus Scholarship, which is a full ride for an engineering student. So, you know, there's lots of things like that. Sometimes it's based on when you apply. Sometimes it's based on your major, those kinds of things. But always ask at the college level and the individual colleges. Some of them will send you, if you qualify based on academics, they may automatically send you an award, you know, because you met their scholarship guidelines. Local scholarship sites like Scholarship Sharing and Suffolk Education Foundation. There's a Hampton Roads scholarship website. They're all local scholarships. And I recommend those highly because they are just for this area. And they are usually location specific, sometimes school specific. There are some local scholarships that only the high schools find out about. You know, so different families or organizations may put out scholarships and they only send it to certain high schools. So check with your local counseling office, any local organizations that you're members of, banks, credit unions, things like that. Yep. So check your local church, your civic organizations like Ruitons, Pilot Club, Rotary, I mean, anywhere. Credit unions and banks, there are a lot of credit unions that give back to the community. I know Bronco Federal Credit Union is a local credit union that gives us several scholarships each year. And Bayport is one of those that always, when I'm driving by there, I see it on their bulletin, on their marquee. School-based scholarships and clubs, you know, so they're based on clubs that you are a member of, PTA and booster clubs. If you're a member of the band, they may give a scholarship to a deserving senior who's in band. Employers, if your parent is a member of a union or a local organization, or sometimes their employer will give scholarships to their students. You know, so it doesn't hurt to ask. There's lots of money out there that doesn't get given away. Unique circumstances that you want to make known: if you are a child of a veteran, if you have a special trait, including disabilities. Some scholarships will only look for students who are learning disabled or hard of hearing or whatever. If you, even crazy stuff like left-handed, red-headed children, you never know, there's scholarships like that out there. There are scholarships for children of fallen heroes, firefighters, police officers. Sometimes those are locally given, sometimes those are given in a certain geographical area or after a certain event. If you're interested in the military, there are scholarships through the military, through GI Bill, all kinds of things like that. Veterans kids, I forgot to mention the GI Bill. Please look into your GI Bill benefits, and your access advisor can help with that too. I've talked about disability. If you have a particular illness, especially congenital disorders, you might qualify for certain scholarships. Scouts, if you're a scout, then you may qualify for certain scholarships. And I forgot what the last one was on that list. Oh yeah, community service. Don't forget to take advantage of your community service. I know in Suffolk that requirement has changed, but it is still a really good idea to collect your community service, keep track of it. If you're starting out high school and you're just thinking about scholarships and colleges, then keep a journal, keep a list of things that you're doing, community service activities, and those can be used for recommendation letters as well as scholarship opportunities. If you are an active member of a certain group, that always helps. Okay, before you get started, make sure you're maintaining a professional online presence. You want to, all your social media needs to be professional and appropriate. A lot of times students can get in trouble for, and this goes for college applications as well as scholarship applications. Colleges do research student social media presences and see if that's the type of student that they want at their in their community. So it's very important to maintain a professional email address just for doing your college applications and scholarship applications, as well as maintaining, you know, whatever your social media is, that it's professional. Build up your toolkit by creating an accomplishments resume. Access has an excellent tool on their website. I'm gonna let Adrienne talk about that in a little bit, and where you can create your resume from high school. It doesn't exactly look like a resume that you would have if you were actually working in a professional job. So it's going to look a little bit different. Make sure you highlight your unique traits that any unique skills or traits that you have, any unique experiences that you might have taken advantage of. You know, if you went to Langley for a camp one summer during high school, then make sure you mention that, especially if you want to be an engineer. Don't worry about, well, I wouldn't say don't worry, but don't discount a scholarship just because it has an essay. A lot of scholarships with essays go unawarded because students do not apply because they don't want to write the essay. Don't be afraid to write that essay. Plan it, polish it. A lot of times I tell my seniors, if you want somebody to be involved in your essay and read it with interest, then you want to make them laugh and you want to make them cry. And then you've got their attention. So make sure it's revised and make sure you check your spelling and grammar. You can use it for college admissions, scholarships, and you might want to prepare a personal statement as well as, you know, a general essay. Some of the scholarships ask specific questions. So, and you can usually look at those questions from previous years. They don't change them that much. Make sure you're keeping track of your essay, your scholarship deadlines and how you submit. They are not all submitted the same way. A lot of times college applications are submitted online. Scholarship applications a lot of times are submitted online, but sometimes they're submitted by mail. So make sure you allow enough time for them to be submitted, especially if they're submitted by mail. The mail is a lot slower now, so make sure you send those. Make sure you set up your searches, keep track of your passwords, apply to as many as possible. The more you apply to, the more chance you have of getting scholarships. I've had several seniors that have paved their way through college, all 4 years, and through graduate school by scholarships, and continuing to go back to the scholarship search system even after you start college. Make sure you follow directions exactly. Don't get disqualified because you forgot something. And don't wait. A lot of times if the counselors are taking the scholarship applications, we will ask for them a week in advance or 2 weeks in advance so we can review them, make sure everything's attached, and ask for your recommendation letters early. So, yep, next one. I've talked about proofreading. Allow time for somebody else to do that, especially if it's another teacher. You may not want to ask your English teacher to proofread everything because he or she does a lot of reading anyway. Be specific when you're writing your essays. Talk about things that have happened, not generalities, but talk about specific things in your life. It makes it more interesting. You can also have your recommenders write their letters addressed to the specific scholarship. Sometimes they will take general ones, but if you can have them change the address to the specific ones, that helps. Customize your resume and your list of activities based on the scholarship. Sometimes you want to add or take away things based on the scholarship that you're applying for. So if you have a scholarship that is particularly community service based, then you can add more of that information into your resume. Okay. We've talked a little bit about letters of recommendations. Please give your recommenders 2 or 3 weeks in advance. Send them a resume. Ask them politely, in person if possible. If not possible, by phone or email. Make sure you write professionally when you ask them. And then, you know, give them information about how to submit them. If it's an online application, let them know an email will come with a password, etc. If you need to upload it with your application, you need to let them know in advance. And that way they can get things done on time, but give them lots of notice because they're usually writing lots of lots of recommendations anyway. Don't forget to contact your FAFSA, your access advisor, and to do the FAFSA. Even if you don't think you qualify, some scholarship applications require the FAFSA. A lot don't, but go ahead and get it done even if you don't think you need it. Okay. Yep. Anybody got any questions so far?
I'm coming in from the ghost, the person sitting off on the side here. But anyways, please make sure you do enter your questions in the questions section on the control panel. We hope some people will ask some questions because we do want to have a vigorous conversation. You all are much more interesting than we are, so we invite you to ask questions. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Adrienne if there's some things that you want to follow up on or some things that you want to share. And if you want Beth Ann to bring up some websites for the people to look at. But Adrienne, it's all yours.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. So just to just extend the conversation based everything that Ms. Cruey has spoken. So I'm not sure what the audience is right now, whether I'm talking to middle school or just high school or vice versa. But I will say my employer is Access College Foundation. I am based out of Kingsburg High School. However, we also start in the middle school. They start with 7th and 8th grade, and there's an Access representative in Suffolk. And basically, they just get the students getting them thinking about what's next, like after middle school, and just kind of getting them prepared and getting them active. They do, before COVID, we were doing parent nights at all of the middle schools, I think with except maybe one I think we're reaching maybe one or two. But we were doing a parent night, which is we had a nice dinner. Kids would come out. We had some 529 giveaways. And just had a couple of games and some interest on, and making it, kind of fun, for the students. So that starts in middle school. So for me, once you get to the high school, I generally go into the 9th and 10th grade classes, and we health and PE actually, because everybody has a health and PE. I make sure my goal is I reach 100% of everybody of each class. But we talk about, as freshmen, I actually make them engage. I don't like to go in and start talking because they don't want to hear you talk all the time. So I engage them, and I just ask them, like, what does high school mean to you? And I ask they look at me like their eyes get this big, and I'm like, no, like, seriously, I want to hear, like, so some of the answers are kind of funny. Somebody said the food was better. I've heard we're not on lockdown. I don't know why they think it's actually more on lockdown than probably middle school. But, what is important, and I have gotten the answers I wanted, like, GPA is important. They tell me foundation, and that's the key I'm looking for. That freshman year is the basic foundation. 9th and 10th grade, now obviously we throw in COVID, everybody's kind of starting over. But generally, 9th and 10th grade is that foundation for your general GPA. Meeting people, networking, getting involved, your teachers getting to know you. So we talk about that. I also talk to my athletes in reference to sports and who, may have, aspired to play on a college level, because at that point, everybody thinks they're going to the NBA. Everybody thinks they're going to the NFL or the MLB. So we talk about that, and not, and just I kind of go just a little deep into it and explain to them that, it's not just when you get a scholarship, that's the easy part, but it's actually hard. It's fun, but it can be hard because there's a lot of planning and organization that goes into it. But also letting them know that in order for you to maintain the scholarship, yes, your grades are very important. There's organization skills, things of that nature, communication skills, and, the things that come along with that. We give out an NCAA qualifier, so they know starting in freshman year, these are some classes, that you need to take based on the NCAA qualifications, as well as whatever your diploma type, is. So we talk about that because NCAA has another requirement as well. I definitely talk about social media, and I explain to them that I've had, matter of fact, me and Ms. Cruey used to work together, and I remember we had a student, that was probably one of our first ones that when social media really was, started to get exciting. And we've had students to lose scholarships. We've had students you can get admitted into a school, but understand that it's an admission to a school that actually can still be taken away, because they're basically accepting you on what you're taking in school, in hopes that you are finishing what you submitted, right? But also, they're looking at your social media. I tell my students all the time, like, if any of my IT students want to go into a field or anything dealing with IT, there's so many things now to information technology. You have cybersecurity now, which is huge. And then a lot of other things that come along with it. But there are colleges that hire people. They don't call them social media gurus. They have a nice, pretty title with a nice salary that they just sit and they put in a school and just kind of, matter of fact, on Twitter, and just let's see who's talking about, Virginia Tech today. And that's pretty much what happened to this student. The student was waitlisted. Ms. Cruey, I don't know if you remember that, but the student was waitlisted. And probably the next day, Ms. Cruey got a phone call stating, do you know this student? Do you know his family? We would not be, basically he's losing, I can't remember the word, but basically he won't be coming here. And it was weird because I'm like, why would he post that? But again, a lot of the students don't think, well, they don't think. What they're posting on social media. So you got to be careful. So I tell them, like, clean your stuff up. We try to stress to them there's so many things, and, we try to keep up with our kids, but, we don't see everything. But, I talk about it, and I talk about it every year until they are seniors, because we do see it every year. Someone loses a scholarship, someone loses an admission because of something, that was posted on social media. And sometimes not even just on social media, just what they're tracking in their phones and this, other things. So anyway, we're gonna keep this happy. So we talk about social media, and then again, the importance of GPA foundation. as far as scholarships go, it's very rare, that we see some, in 9th and 10th grade. Now, I will say SOAR is a program. It's a state program. And I know for sophomores, we are able to choose. I was able to choose 20 sophomores this year. The minimum GPA requirement is a 2.5. And basically, that's all they need to maintain is a 2.5 to keep that scholarship. So I chose 20 this year. And by the time they are seniors, they will get a one-time disbursement with whatever college they attend, whether in-state, out-of-state, public, or private. And that's one scholarship already that they can receive, okay? So those are generally like the only ones you would see around 9th and 10th grade. And then when you get to their junior year, one of the bigger ones is the National Merit, which is under the PSA. The juniors would take the PSAT. And we have had some students. We had a brother and sister one year that received a 2-4 rise to colleges. So that's, I would probably say, the biggest one when it relates to juniors, okay? But the majority of them will come during their senior year. And I will say, out of my experience since I've been with Access, that it's weird that a lot of times it's our local scholarships, the ones that are geared to just our Suffolk schools, are the ones that we have to really fight with them and push and, to get them to apply. And I try to explain to them that, your competition just went from 32 high schools on this side of the Hampton Roads versus, 3 to maybe 5 or 6, I think, because we doing a Windsor now for Suffolk Education Foundation, I believe. But 3 to 4 high schools competitions versus 32 or 33 is a no-brainer. So I do explain to them there's a lot of money left on the table for our local scholarships. Even right down to some of our, we got our fraternity scholarships, our sorority scholarships. I've had a few ladies to get, a lot of my, and not necessarily it's a male scholarship, but a lot of times the males don't apply. So, a lot of my females would get it. So, and Ms. Cruey is exactly right. If you're not, I give my students, I tell them, if you're not doing 25 to 30, really a minute, and it sounds like a lot, but, we're talking about free money. So, I mean, you have to want it. There is money there. I had students last year, and I know COVID threw a wrench into a whole lot of things and trying to keep them somewhat motivated. But I actually had a student last year that told me, she said, well, I didn't apply because I didn't think I would get it. Well, you have to apply, to see if you could get it. And these were scholarships that I would say I'm 99% sure that she would have received because she was in that, particularly that top 10% of that program. So we definitely have money. It's on the website. I'm not at Lakeland, but I know we all pretty much, do similar when it comes to our scholarships. Everybody has a binder in the office. I keep a binder. I'm at King Plus. I have Goddess is downstairs and I'm upstairs, and there's a binder in the Goddess office as well as upstairs with me because I'm in more of, say, the student population. So they have to pass me a lot of times. So we have it. It's posted. I push it because, again, I want the free money. I will say that, yes, I am responsible for doing the FAFSAs in my school, as well as the other access advisors. We do the FAFSAs. That is a thing that we do for you guys. We normally do a financial aid seminar. I know I get lots of people say, well, it's no fun of me doing it. I'm not going to get anything. And the thing is now, FAFSA has changed a little bit in those terms because a lot of times you really don't know. And the reason why a lot of schools now and a lot of scholarships, per se, prefer you to do it as an attachment because we don't want you assuming that, what you're going to get versus what you're not going to get, okay? There are a lot of schools now that have institutional funds that your student can receive, which is merit, but they still want you to have a FAFSA on file because when they do a financial aid award letter, it will show. So when you do a FAFSA, and when I do one for you, yes, every student from here to California is going to qualify for a $5,500 loan as a freshman. That's the cap. That's just it. However, it's offered to you. You do not, you do have the option of declining. I've had that question in the past where they thought that if a FAFSA was done, the student automatically received it. But no, there's a process, and we actually go through each step of that with you right along to when it's time for you to pay your, respectable deposits to whatever school you decide to actually attend. Okay. But yes, we definitely do the FAFSA for you. We make sure we get it on file because I don't want to leave any money on the table. And it is a blessing when I have a student that actually gets more scholarships than what the school's budget is, and I can actually call and say, hey, my student received, such and such, are you able to keep this money so he can get a disbursement next year? That's the best phone call I can make when a student has multiple scholarships and is over awarded, and that's without loan. So that's what we want. That's the goal, and it can be done, and it has been, and it's being done. Okay. As of right now, as far as my seniors right now, what they should be doing, as far as what I told my students, I gave my students a November 1st deadline when I first started this year, because I wanted them to get motivated and get moving. A lot of times they'll see that regular deadline and it may say February, but I also have to explain to them that by Thanksgiving, as a matter of fact, a school like VCU will already have 22 applications, 22,000, applications. So we don't want to wait till February. We want to get into that first month so we can get an answer sooner, rather than later. And that's pretty much for the majority of these schools. A lot of schools this year open up in July, which, they're saying that they're ready and they have money to give. I already have received several acceptance letters from my students. I'm noticing that Radford this year is sending separate scholarships. I have 2 students already that have received $14,000 in scholarship from Radford, and that's new for Radford because generally you wouldn't see their scholarships until financial aid time. I had another student today. She got another scholarship for $23,000. So schools have money. They're wanting to give out the money, but the goal is always going to be, first come, first serve. So if I have any seniors out here, December 1st is that next priority deadline, and we want to get it in. Want to get the FAFSA done, and just pace it. A lot of times these colleges ask for the same information. Go ahead and create your username and password. Go ahead and get the demographics out the way. Always have someone look it over. I have had students that would send me their logins and I would look it over for them. Get your parents to look it over. It's best to catch those mistakes before you submit, where after, because sometimes that will slow down, your process. Social security numbers. These, I'm bringing up things that I've seen in the past that are some mistakes. Please put your social security numbers in the applications, even if it says optional, which is very rare. But that is how financial aid actually will attach, will download the FAFSA to come in based on what you put in through admissions. If you don't put your social, I would have to then ask for a social security card and send that in, and now somebody has to manually, and again, my whole point is it slows up your process. And again, we're trying to get some free money. Okay. I'm just talking here. Ms. Cruey, what am I missing here?
Let me go ahead and jump in and say you guys have brought up some great points. I don't see any questions, and again, I invite people to ask some questions. I'm going to bounce back to something that you said, Adrienne, kind of quickly passing through. But you mentioned 529. Can you talk a little bit about what 529 is and what are some opportunities there? Okay.
So Virginia 529 is a scholarship investment program. It's a state program. But with our middle school advisors, that's one of the things we give out as a drawing in the 8th grade. And I believe the rules haven't changed. It has to start before the student reaches high school. And you can do a minimum deposit, I believe, of $25 or $50. And basically you build into that scholarship. So by the time your student is a senior, you'll have some money in that scholarship savings that you can use to go towards any school. Now, I remember in the past that it was just Virginia schools, but I do believe that's changed. However, if somebody asks a question about that, I will get that verified. But it's a great program. I do have some parents that have used 529 and it worked out great. You can actually choose like how much you want to use each year. You also can use it if you have other things like GI Bill, because it's your money. And the school actually disperses it to whatever school that the student decides to go to. And I'll talk about GI Bill as well because we are in a high military area. I do have parents that also say, well, why do we need, the FAFSA, even the reference to GI Bill? Because a lot of times, again, if there's any money left on the table, we still want the student to have it. So if the student can still get some type of institutional money, some type of merit money, we still want them to get it because when the bill is paid, that free money, the excess money goes back to the student. So that's still money that's left for the student to have. And again, the loans can always be declined, okay? Parents, if you know you have GI Bill or some type of, there's so many different chapters now of GI Bill, so you would know, you would actually call VA, or you may already know what you have. They will tell you if it's gonna pay 100% of everything. I do have parents that some of their chapters pay for just tuition and fees. They may get a book stipend. Some may just pay for housing, but you would know that through your VA representative, and you would maybe transfer all that information over. Another thing we were talking earlier in reference to resumes. Access College on our website, we do have a junior and senior prep book that lists every college that's located in the state of Virginia. It lists their profiles, their GPA requirements, their sizes, where they're located, and sometimes what they also specialize in and location. Same thing for the junior and, well, for both the junior and the senior one. We have examples of resume writing, where how an activity resume will look versus just a general community service resume will look. SAT information is in there, SAT dates, costs. We also cover SAT fees with our certain forms that we have. We have a relationship now with Khan Academy. This is something I introduced to the juniors. So once you become a junior, right now I'm having them thinking about, okay, next semester we're going to test. We always try to get the test out the way as a junior, so when they come in the senior year, we're just concentrating on applications, because there's a lot that goes on when they come back that senior year. But we're able to cover those fees with the relationship that we have now with Khan Academy. And then with that being said, by the time they're senior year, we're also able to assist with AP exams, application fees, because application fees can run anywhere from $20 to $150, which is non-refundable once you actually hit submit. So a lot of things that we are able to assist with, but again, the college process is anywhere from A to Z and anything in between that we try to assist the student with.
So kind of just to clarify one thing that you mentioned, the Suffolk Education Foundation does offer over $23,000 in scholarships each year. I think it's spread amongst 15 different scholarships. And they are strictly for the students of Suffolk Public Schools. So again, just like you said, instead of being one of thousands of possible applicants, you only are competing against roughly 800 to 900 other students. So your odds are much, much better for those. And then, something that you talked about, Ms. Cruey, was journaling or writing down activities or experiences as they happen. I work with nonprofits a great deal in my real job, and storytelling is such a great piece of marketing. And really, your resume or your application is just a way to market you. Would any of you, do you agree with that statement, the power of story? And would you guys like to expand on that as we're talking to the students and the families this evening?
Well, the more you can talk about your experiences and how it made you feel, what you learned from it, what changed, how your life changed. One of the questions I ask my students is, what life experience made you who you are today? And that tells me a lot about what drives that student. So what drives them to be successful? What drives them to want to be a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, or a chiropractor? I mean, it doesn't matter what they want to be, but why do they want to be that? And where did that start? Where did that come from? And that story, being able to tell your story, helps, the colleges and the scholarship people giving you scholarships, to say, hey, this is a really neat experience that the student has had, and worthy of some money. So being able to tell your story in a unique way, is always very important, for applying for scholarships. So
Adrienne, do you have anything that you want to add to that before I bring up the next panel piece here?
I mean, that's pretty much it. And in that, and like I said, going back to what I was saying in the prep book, that's pretty much, and that's also how you can build, again, that part of the resume, because a lot of times I have things that kind of forget, like, wait, I think I did this in 9th grade. So that's a perfect thing to do, like start. And Wells Fargo, a couple years ago, actually would give me, I tried to get to order some more some journals, like a to-do thing each year, like each year, like what you should be doing 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade. And it was a good idea. So now to tell them to get, go to Dollar Tree. I actually bought some and I would just give them out to some of the kids that would ask for some. But it is a great idea to start, because you will be surprised how many things that they forget that they actually did by the time they get to their senior year.
So, and I can't remember which one of you said it, but it was the comment that in order to know whether or not you're going to get something, you have to apply for it. Another great feature about and yes, I'm doing a little bit of press for the Suffolk Education Foundation, but it's all helpful. But is, the Suffolk Education Foundation application is actually part of a much larger group of applications. We use a platform called Kaleidoscope, and there are several companies and several other organizations that use Kaleidoscope. And you can check a box at the conclusion of our application that'll say, are you interested in hearing from other scholarship opportunities? And they'll pull the information that you entered into our application and will send you different scholarship opportunities that you may qualify for. So that's a feature that I think you'll find more and more, especially as we go on the digital world. Another thing that you mentioned was, a lot of the recommendations are done virtually as well. So like on our scholarship application, they have to enter the name and email address of the people that they want to recommend them, and we'll send them a recommendation request. So it's not like when I was going through and you made 20 copies of a recommendation letter, these people are getting sent specific requests from the places that they're applying to. So I just wanted to share those things. What about talking about like future plans? There are, I know like for some of our scholarships, we have scholarships for people that are interested in becoming educators, interested in pursuing the arts, interested in STEM or healthcare type jobs. Can you talk a little bit about kind of knowing what you want your future to be and researching those as far as opportunities for scholarships?
Well, it's never too early to try to explore different opportunities for, what might be out there as a job, and things are going to change. So even if you're thinking about being a nurse and you think nursing is this box, by the time you finish college, it's going to be this box. So don't forget, you've got to change with the job. Everything changes over time, and we never know what kind of job we're going to be doing 25 years down the road. So be flexible, explore what you like, what you don't know, what you don't like, be open to learning new things. It's the earlier you have an idea and can talk about what you want to do, the easier it is to find a college that you like, because you don't want to go to a school where your major is not available. It's very difficult to create a major. It is possible at some schools, but it's very difficult. So, the more you explore that, ask questions, job shadow, or talk to people who do that job that you want to do. Everybody has a different personality. So, certain personalities go really well with certain jobs. Some of that fits, some of it doesn't, so it's kind of hard to tell kids, well, you need to do this or you need to do that. You have to ask them questions. And as a parent, be open to, ask questions, explore with your kids, try different things. If you're able to take them to different places to meet different people, then take that as an opportunity to learn about, oh, what do you do? What do you do as part of your job? They might like it. So be open, ask lots of open-ended questions, and spark up those conversations with your kids, because not everybody can be game designers. I know lots of kids nowadays that I'm talking to, they want to be game designers, and we need plumbers, and we need electricians and construction workers, and we need factory workers and truck drivers and policemen and teachers, and I mean, just a little bit of, we need everybody. So it's kind of like spark up those conversations, talk to your kids about college, about, hey, maybe college isn't the thing, but maybe trade school is, and scholarships can help a student go to trade school. There's lots of that out there too. So, and community college, oh my gosh, there's so much out there for community college. There's so many opportunities out there. So don't just think about scholarships as in a four-year college. Scholarships can go for other post-secondary educational opportunities.
And just to clarify, the Suffolk Education Foundation is open to post-secondary education, whatever that may be. Along those lines is also internships. So my cousin, my cousin's daughter, was able to get a fashion merchandising internship her senior year. That was, I think, 6 hours a week she worked, and then that internship rolled into a partial scholarship for her. So are you aware of any of those that might be available for our Suffolk students, or is that something that maybe families should explore individually, or is that a quirky Northern Virginia thing?
I'm not sure, but I actually I have an email out right now because a parent brought to my attention a nursing something called NCAP, and I'm actually researching that right now. I have a student that came in today that says that it's a program that was started that she's actually able to go in and shadow because her goal is to be an occupational therapist. But they have nurses and so I'm waiting actually on getting on more information from that. I know that Centera has a program that they can go straight through Centera and go right on through, and if they choose to get their associates, right on to their BSN, and you can connect with any of the Centera hospitals. So there are several. I have a few information in my office that it's a possibility. And kind of going back to what Ms. Cruey said as well, and I also state that yes, we are college. 99% of what we do is college, but I know and we know that everyone is not going, and we talk about other things. We have a career coach in our buildings, our welders. If COVID hasn't taught us anything, is what was needed when it came to plumbers and tradesmen and all this building that's going around. So I incorporate when I have a lot of my seminars, and I have a big junior day, I have speakers that come in, and I include my tradesmen. And I have a cousin right now who's a master plumber that told me he's been doing this for 20 some years now. In this past 18 months, he's been busier than he's ever been, and that he's had to even turn away work. So yes, we do talk about the trades. The apprenticeship is amazing, over whether it's Norfolk and for base systems or whether it's Newport News. My personal experience right now is that my son actually had a visit to the apprentice school a couple of weeks ago, and I knew it was there, and we talk about it every year, and we know it's very, the competition is very heavy. They make it 5,000 applications, they make it only take 1,800, but they have a sports component as well. But to know that you can go there, you can play your sport that you enjoy, work, go to class, and get paid is phenomenal. To get that type of experience. Their facilities are very nice. But yeah, so we definitely push, and because each student is going to be different. There are also two things a student can do as well, even as early as 9th grade or 10th grade, to kind of get an idea of what, their interests are. The Virginia Wizard is an amazing website a student can go on, and it's just them in the computer. They're asking them questions. It goes into a compilation at the end. It'll bring up, whatever their strengths is, and it'll convert it to like what type of field it may be. I've done it myself just to see, how right it is or something like that. And then junior year, they can take the ASVAB. The ASVAB, even though we know it is a military entrance test, but the ASVAB also shows how strong someone may be when it comes to maybe, want to do engineering or some type of math and science field. So those are two things that are given in our high schools. But the Virginia Wizard is just an open website that they can go to at any time. It might do it every year and change it. But virginiawizard.org, and we have the ASVAB given in our building, I think twice a year, fall and spring, I believe. I know we just gave it, but so yeah, but the conversations, the early, the better, because we know things change, and sometimes when they get in college, the major change. I always tell them, if you are going to change it, let's try to change it after that first year, not 3. But yeah, but we definitely are pushing whatever the best it is for the student, to be successful. My goal is, I always tell my students, when you graduate and walk across that stage, the goal is we know what the next step is. We know where we're going, and we're not just going home, sit on the couch. We have a plan. So that's the goal. That's the goal.
Well, and to your point on the trades and everything, there are plenty of people in the trades that are making significant funds, well into the 6 figures. I have several friends who are GM for car dealerships, and automobile technicians. They've got senior ones that are well into the 6 figures on their employment. So that's one thing to think about. College isn't the only way to make good money. And I would just want to cover it quickly before we kind of end our session this evening, but is to talk about dual enrollment and getting your associate's degree when you get your high school diploma. Can you guys speak to that a little bit?
Yes, I can. Suffolk has several classes that are available, and you could do everything from one class in high school to the whole associate's degree. But they offer several classes within the system that are offered, I call it on the cheap. This year it's $135 for a course, like English 12, government, pre-calculus, all kinds of classes like that. It's also a lot cheaper to take classes at the community college and transfer. All the community colleges in Virginia have an articulation agreement with all the public schools, colleges in the state, where you can transfer credits. So it's really easy to transfer credits that you get at a local community college to, say, UVA or Virginia Tech or William & Mary or VCU, wherever. A lot of the private colleges will take those credits also. They're a little less portable out of state. You have to actually contact the school and see if they'll take them, but they are very portable within Virginia. There's a wonderful agreement there. I have, I think, 2 students this year that are going to graduate with their associates. One last year graduated. I got 3 or 4 juniors that are doing it. So it's a lot of extra work. There's a lot of outside of school classes, but there are a lot of classes within the associate's degree that can also satisfy electives and core credits for the high school diploma. So talk to your counselor. Our liaison with Suffolk Public Schools liaison with Pauley Camp Community College, which is our local community college, is Judy Waxman, and she's available by email very easily. You can also call the college and ask to speak to her, and she can walk you through what classes are necessary for the associate's degree or the general education certificate, which is a 1-year program. I have a lot of students that do that. And then the new program certificate is a first semester. So they have actually pared it down so you can get 1 semester, 1 year, or 2-year, which is the associate's degree. So save thousands of dollars And it's fun to graduate from with your associate's degree before you graduate with your high school diploma. That's pretty cool.
Adrienne, do you have anything you want to add?
No, as soon as you said it, I was thinking about CCAP and Pruden in reference to, have an opportunity to get into those throughout high school, because you can come out with those with your certificate and use those to, continue to keep going to, your community college, because you're halfway there. But some of those programs, you actually end up with a certificate anyway. I've had an EMT student to come out and end up going to the TCC down in Virginia Beach, because they partner with the hospital right there by, I think that's the Lansdowne area. And he basically, in under 2 short years, was able to be completely certified, driving an ambulance. I want to say he was probably, right about 2021, and was doing very well financially as well. But because of that start in Pruden, he was able to get a jump start. So they're definitely between the dual credit, dual enrollment, between the certifications at Pruden. I wish there were more, because there are a lot more students that want to participate in those programs, but there is a certain number cap, unfortunately, on how many students can go. So hopefully in the future, maybe that, can wait, because there are a lot more students that want to participate in those programs, and it's just not, enough space. So hopefully that'll be something else to improve.
And some of those classes at CCAP are dual enrollment.
Right.
And those are all free for Suffolk Public School students.
Right. That's right.
And Suffolk Education Foundation offers scholarships for the quality camp classes that are taken within the building. Like English and government and pre-calculus and things like that. So there are some, while you're in high school, scholarship opportunities through Suffolk Education Foundation.
Yes, and those are, and I will share that those are need-based, but they're very generous need-based. We'll go up to 300% of the poverty rating, which, if for a family of 4, I think that's going up to $110,000 in income. Don't quote me on that, but those are available. We've already awarded them for this year, but for our juniors that are listening, please ask your counselors about applying for those for next year. And then is there anything else that we didn't cover? I think we did a lot tonight, so thank you both, but is there anything else that we missed? And Beth Ann, who's kind of pulling all our puppet strings, is there anything that we didn't include that we meant to include?
Yeah, she said we're good.
I will add one more thing just for the parents. Parents, even if you think it, don't miss out by assuming. I've had a lot of parents that assume with certain incomes, even with what we do. When they hear need-based, sometimes they get a little antsy, but need-based that definition has definitely changed over the years. Now I get it, if you're well, I don't even want to quote a figure right now, but don't assume. Really, I'm serious. Don't. You will be pleasant. I've had some parents that were pleasantly surprised that we were able to offer like some assistance, because you assume that you can't. So let us tell you no first. But don't miss out by just not doing it, or just ask what some of these things are. But you will be surprised what our term means by bridging the gap. You really I would say whatever's out there, do it, apply, and just let us tell you, or just come to us and just ask. Just don't miss out by assuming.
I think that's a great piece of advice.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think
and understand that most of your parents. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we talked about earlier before the Common Black College app. It's HBCUs that are a bunch of them. The applications, all the applications available for $35. So, or something around $35. So that's a way to save on the front end, because college applications can be overwhelmingly expensive. So take advantage of those. And next week, I know building. I don't know about Kings Fork, and I'm sure Lakeland's on the list
Yes.
for next week's free college app week. So check our websites for that, and whatever way, like Nansemond River, we post everything on Google Classroom. And I don't know what Lakeland and Kings Fork does, but that's where all of our scholarships are that come across my desk. And Access's desk too. Ms. Harvin's always posting scholarships and opportunities up on the websites, up on Google Classroom. So join all those. Your students should join Google Classroom. Your parents, if you join Remind, a lot of times we'll post things up there too. So check with your school.
Okay. So thank you very much. Again, the community is the one that sponsored tonight's webinar. We invite the community to continually support Suffolk Education Foundation. You can go to suffolkeducationfoundation.org and click on the donate button to support our foundation, which ultimately supports the faculty, staff, and students of Suffolk Public Schools. Our Gala for the Arts is on March 16th. Please come out and join us and see all the amazing performers that we have in Suffolk Public Schools, and watch for more information about the rest of our Can We Talk series that will come up right at the first of the year. Have a great evening, and thank you for being a part of it.